Welcome everybody to BBB Roll Feed.
Technologies that are dominating today, they're dominating because they're able to deliver force faster, harder, stronger, smarter. So if we ask the question, what is money? Money is the highest form of energy that human beings can channel. Bitcoin is channeling human ingenuity into making it better. And every commodity is channeling human energy into making it worse. The lowbrow or the historic colloquial term is HODL, right? Hold on for dear life, or just HODL or save, whatever. And the highbrow term would be adopt as a Treasury Reserve asset.
Yes, that's Mr. Michael Saylor. You know, I don't know how I missed this. That interview created by Robert Breedlove with a series he has on YouTube called What is Money? And it's really fascinating. He has a lot of other people on there other than Michael Saylor, of course. I watched a couple of episodes, but it's Robert Breedlove. This was actually done in 7 months ago. 7 months ago, so not quite a year. But, you know, I knew about Michael Saylor, that he had, you know, bought a bunch of Bitcoin and talked Elon Musk into it. But I never went and looked at the videos that he did. He had one out the day before yesterday, a new one, which is great, but he is the flag bearer of Bitcoin. Him and his company own one out of every 210 Bitcoin, and he claims that, you know, he'll never sell any of it, ever. I mean, he doesn't need to. You know, you've probably seen some of this. I'm going to play some clips, or about a 3 or 4 minute clip. If you've seen it, I apologize, but it's rather humbling to get his view on Bitcoin. It really gave me a paradigm shift, somewhat. Anyway, Michael Saylor, if you don't know, is an MIT graduate. He's an aerospace engineer, thermodynamics expert. Thermodynamics being like, you know, heat, creating energy, and channeling energy. Where humankind made their most advances in life was through channeling energy, making it smarter, harder, faster, stronger. And that's been the goal. And, you know, you had fire, you had water, and he could go back to like the caveman times and walk you all the way through the medieval, the dark ages, all the way up to current day, explaining how channeling energy was power and was the force that propelled man to the place they are today. And what he's saying is, you know, it solves every problem we have. It solves corruption. It solves non-transparency. It solves cheating. It solves everything that's wrong with our monetary, political, and social system. And I agree with that 100%. Because you can't do anything. You can't change it. You can't change the amount of Bitcoin. You can't hack it. You can't, you know, change the rules of the game. You can't cheat. It's transparent. It's a ledger. It's a blockchain ledger. Every transaction is recorded and passed on to the next block for the next transaction, and it's recorded and it goes to the next block for the next transaction, and the ledger just keeps growing, and it's verified by multiple nodes across the globe. And the only way you can get rid of it is shut down every computer and leave them shut off. Well, that's not going to happen, okay? I doubt that's going to happen, and even if it did, you could still have cold storage Bitcoin, and if you had a standalone computer, I mean, I don't know how that would work, but you know, you might be able to trade it somehow. But anyway, the issue is technology is increasing at such an exponential rate that there's no way that the federal government or any of the world governments, they can't keep up. And so they just keep printing fiat, more money, more money, more money. So, and what does that do to you? That means you lose, on average, according to Michael Saylor, over the last decade, it's usually 7 to 8% a year. So if you're making 7 to 8% a year on your investments, then you're keeping pace, is what you're doing. You know, you're not getting ahead, you're not falling behind, you're keeping pace. Well, since March of 2020, he says that I didn't mean inflation, I meant devaluation of the dollar at 7%. So he said since March 2020, the devaluation of the dollar has been anywhere from 21 to 28%. So that's in a year. And, you know, maybe next year it'll be 15. So whatever your investments are, you got to make 15% to keep up. If you didn't make 20% on your money last year, you lost, your dollar lost money. So, and then they keep printing it like they do, you know, doing these idiotic things they're doing, then that's what's going to happen. But anyway, briefly, I just wanted to go over that with Mike, about Mike Saylor. You probably already seen it. But anyway, I mean, I will take an indirect compliment from Mike Saylor any day of the week, because he didn't discover Bitcoin until March 2020 at the beginning of the pandemic, because he had all this money in his company, didn't know what to do with it. He did do a stock buyback on his company. He did do that. He bought some stock back as much as the shareholders wanted, and then he still had 600 million left. So what do I do? Put it in fiat and let it lose 20% of its value over the next year? Well, no. You buy Bitcoin. It's not affected by any of those means. So that's what he did. He's put 600 million of his company, and he put another, I don't know how much of his money, like $1 billion or something. So he owns one of every 210 Bitcoin. So that's just insane. So, and it's a limited amount. So he knows that. He said it's the perfect money. I'll play a clip and let you see it. But anyway, he's an MIT graduate. He started at 24 years of age. He started MicroStrategies, a software technology company, which has done real well, made a lot of money. He has a website called hope.com, saying that that's what Bitcoin is. It is hope. There's Saylor.org, which provides free education to anybody that wants it. And that's what he's going to do with his Bitcoin when he leaves, when he passes on. He's going to set up a foundation to where the money made off the Bitcoin, or the amount of Bitcoin he has, will pay for that forever. So it'll be free education. You don't have to go to college and get a diploma, and you know, if you want to do that and spend your money doing that, fine. But you know, to go to college just to make an extra 20 grand a year, is it really worth it when your dollar is being devalued by, you know, 15-20% a year? It's ridiculous. So anyway, I will take that as a great compliment, because he said, you know, I just found it March 2020. If you knew about it or found it before then, my hat's off to you. It's genius. So it prompted me to do some research to see when I actually got into it. And actually, I thought I'd bought Bitcoin like in 2015 or something, but anyway, I didn't. My first purchase of Bitcoin was June of 2017. 2017, about $2,800, and of course that was good timing, because December 8th, 2017, I was selling it at $16,500. So, I mean, you couldn't even get on the exchanges. I mean, this was when Coinbase was out and up and running and all that, and you couldn't even get on the exchange to sell it. So it was up to 20,000 by the time I could get it a sell in. It was at like 16.5. But so I bought in at 2,800, sold at 16.5, and then bought back in at June 2019 around $10,000, and then it went. I was telling people back in September, October. I said, if you want to get into Bitcoin, do it now. This is the time to do it. Do it now. And nobody listened, of course, but it went up to $60,000. I could have sold all my, and made a lot of money, and wouldn't have to worry about money for, I don't know, a good while, if not forever. But I didn't want to do that because, especially after watching him, he gave me a paradigm shift, and it's not about the money anymore. It's about fixing the issues of this country and the world, for that matter, the world. And yeah, he's got a lot of great points on that, and it's just like incredible. So to have somebody like him step up, be fully committed, he's not hedging, he's not shoring up his investments by putting in some Bitcoin. He's 100%, totally 100% committed, and I love that. And that's how I've been. So the first time I remember hearing about Bitcoin was 2014. I know exactly where I was. I was downstairs in the kitchen getting some coffee, getting ready to go to work at my job at an electrical company where I was a systems administrator for and disaster recovery specialist for a Fortune 500 company. And I was listening to a night radio talk show program that has a lot of guests on that aren't allowed on regular media, and they were talking about Mount Gox and how these people at Mount Gox had done something with Bitcoin or did this or did that, and I'm like, what are they talking about? I don't even know what they're talking about. So I looked it up, researched it, and what it was in 2014, I don't know the exact date, 2013, 14, Mt. Gox controls 70% of the Bitcoin transactions on the network, okay? And so the people running it had stolen $850 million worth of Bitcoin, I think it was, something like that. Yeah, $850 million worth of Bitcoin. Filed bankruptcy, shut down the exchange. And at that point, I think it was at about $1,000 a Bitcoin, and it had gone to back down. After that, it had gone down to like $197 or $97. So in my mind, I'm saying, well, that's it. I mean, ain't nobody going to buy this asset. I mean, it's over. I mean, this, people lost money. These guys stole all this stuff. So I put it in the back of my mind. I kept, kept an eye out on the side, and watched it. And it was really fascinating because it was, once Coinbase and other exchanges got up, and the miners, it started to become the secure checks and balances type of network. Like, you're not going to be able to cheat me, or you're not going to be able to make a false transaction because it's double checked by thousands of computers. Like, this ledger's got to match this ledger's got to match this ledger, down the line. Boom, 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 boom. So, and the miners, they don't like anybody jacking with their money. So, they're not going to let you come in, hack it, or do whatever, because they're always ahead. It's the most powerful computer network in the world, bar none. I mean, you think your money is safe on some bank's website and their credit card's website or whatever? Yeah, it's pretty darn secure, but it ain't even close to what the network strength security of Bitcoin is. So, there's people out there spreading FUD, fear, doubt, and uncertainty, or fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or however you want to put it. Saying, oh, what about quantum computers? They're going to come along and be able to crack it and like that. It ain't going to happen, man. These guys are smart. They know what they're doing. And they got it, they got the network going. It's fully protected, and I ain't worried a bit. Anyway, I mean, you can move it off into cold storage. I mean, that's what I do. I don't leave it all on the exchange. I put it on whatever, I can memorize the key and put it in my head. That's the only place it can be. That's a lot of memorization. I don't think I can do that. So I prefer to just put it in a different type of cold storage, lock it up, and nobody can get to it. So anyway, but so I'll play a short clip here. Him kind of giving a brief overview. If you hadn't seen it, if you have, I apologize. I know a lot of people have been, probably watching him before I have. So
We're talking about Bitcoin as the first digital monetary network, and I'm positing this thought experiment. I have $100 million block of energy. I can generate $100 million worth of energy through chemical processes, kinetic, gravitational, electrical, atomic power. Let's just assume that I did some amount of work in order to generate that energy. I converted that energy into money. Money is the highest form of energy. Now I've got a $100 million block of money. You can do a lot with $100 million. It equates to about 3,000 pounds worth of gold. It converts to $100 million of currency, and it converts to, we could do the calculation in Bitcoin, 10,000 Bitcoin, right? Or a little bit less than 10,000 Bitcoin, I guess, at this point in time. And now, I want to do two things with it. I want to channel it through time, and I want to channel it through space. The beauty of Bitcoin channeling through time is that there really is no loss over time. There's no inflation. You've only got the 21 million Bitcoin. So as a ratio to the 21 million, it's infinitely hard. And so that's a big check. And if we contrast it to gold and fiat, you're going to lose 99.5% of your energy in fiat. You're going to lose 98% of your energy in gold. You're going to keep all your energy in Bitcoin. So clearly channeling energy through time is important, and it's critical. Channeling it through space really refers to not just moving it around the world, but it means moving it across domains as well, but from counterparty to counterparty. And we can see the inefficiencies of fiat counterparty to counterparty is you're locked into 9 to 5 banking hours. You can't do big transactions on a Saturday. There are certain jurisdictions where you can't do transactions at all. You're always working through a counterparty, which is its own risk. And of course, if we go to gold, fiat is faster, but it's still got complexities. And the gold is slower. It's going to take a month to physically deliver gold. And so super slow, super expensive. And so neither fiat nor gold make nearly so much sense for channeling energy through time and space. I think that the best metaphor, when I think about this, is it's like I want to cross from London to New York City, and I need to cross the Atlantic, and that's the journey. And if I'm going to do it with fiat currency, it's like a rubber raft with a leak in it, maybe a big rubber raft, and it's got a leak in it, and I'm going to be continually blowing up that raft every day to keep it from sinking on me, and I'm going to get battered this way and that way, but it's a bit of a venture. On the other hand, with gold, it's like getting in a wooden ship. And it's going to rot over the course of many, many years, but maybe for the first few, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, compared to the rubber raft, I feel pretty good. But it's a heavy ship. Wood is heavier than rubber, so it's kind of harder to get going, and it's harder to maneuver it, but it's a bit more solid. But ultimately, it's organic, and it's going to decay. And then if I put it into a crypto container, a Bitcoin, it's like a steel vessel. I have a steel hull. A steel hull container ship really is the best metaphor. 1,000 feet long, 60 feet wide, it moves 30 knots. The thing that's special about steel is indestructible as long as you maintain it. The maintenance means you have to keep it from corroding. It can be attacked by corrosion, and the way you maintain it is you paint it. You sand it down every 5 to 10 years, you repaint it. If you maintain it, it will last longer than you will last. In fact, it will last essentially forever, hundreds of years. If you punch a hole in a steel hull and then you weld it, the weld is stronger than the original steel. So it is an indestructible, extremely strong, repairable element. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that if you're going to actually engage in commerce all around the world, you want a bunch of steel container ships. You do not want wooden ships, and you certainly don't want inflatables. And that's the distinction, and that's why Bitcoin is really such an extraordinary invention. You know, we talked about getting out of the gravity well. The other metaphor.
Okay, so anyway, you can get a gist there of what he's saying, and you can go watch all that. Robert Breedlove
Is I have $100
Power of
million
Money, and it's really great.
worth of energy.
Hold on a second. Anyway, but it's really great. He talks about thermodynamics a lot and the network effect, and he didn't make his money on Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. He just learned about it in March 2020. How did he make all of his money? Because he wrote a book in 2010 called The Mobile Wave, talking about how this Apple phone device or your phone device, whatever you have, was going to change everything. What happened? Nobody listened. You know, nobody read it, nobody listened. And he got rich buying the fame stocks. Fame stocks being Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, Google. He became a multi-millionaire by buying those stocks. And I don't know if a lot of y'all remember, but in 1998 when Amazon came out, it came up to about, I don't know, $100, a couple $100 per share of stock. In 2001, it crashed to 95%. It crashed 95% from its top value. I mean, that is huge. And that's where he learned his lesson about, you know, holding out for the long term if the product is solid, foolproof. And he got scared and he sold it. And look what happened. Now Amazon's like, you know, but he bought back in because he did more research and saw what was going on. And that's how he became a multi-millionaire, billionaire, whatever. And that's where he made his money. So he's researched Bitcoin. He spent a solid 40 hours. I mean, sharp as he is, it wouldn't take him that long. But if he believes it, I believe it. And like I said, I'll take that indirect compliment that, you know, you found it before I did. Well, I was 7 years ahead of him. You know, I just don't have the capital. So, but anyway, I'm going to keep this short. I'm going to stop this here, and I'm going to come back and finish up with some more stuff on him. I spent about a month, took a month off or 3 weeks off because Bitcoin's going sideways right now, and you know, there ain't nothing happening with it. But it doesn't really matter because he's given me a new insight into it. So anyway, folks, I'm going to stop this here, and I'll be back for part 2 of what I will call the theory of Bitcoin. God bless. Take care.